and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
All right, I'll call this meeting to order. First, we need approval of the agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Approval of October 24th, 2022 minutes.
I reviewed the minutes. It looked accurate to me, so I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
There's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, item number 1, Sheriff Pingree quarterly report. Good morning,
Good
Sheriff.
morning, everybody. Hope they had a good weekend.
Mhm.
Everybody got a copy of this in front of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for July, we took in a total of $5,129.20. That's for mileage, fees due to the county, weapons permits, and miscellaneous trust. August, we took in $7,065. September, $5,373 and some change. And then the big one is the room and board, which is hopefully just going to keep going up. In July, we took in almost $32,000 in room and board. August was $28,870, and September $45,350. And those are for our Calhoun and Polk County prisoners that we're holding. And we just billed out for the end of this month, or they're getting ready to, and it's about 50,000. So.
What is that
So-
room and board count, any of them, like our own that they're supposed to pay, aren't they supposed to pay a fee, daily fee also? Like
Our own?
Yes.
Only if they're sentenced prisoners. So like been sentenced to
So
2
that
days,
would that include these?
that would include that too.
But that isn't very much.
Polk County.
No. Polk County is the majority. This morning we had 28 in there, 5 of them were our own, and the rest were Calhoun and folks.
We've been at that 1 quarter now, probably.
Yeah,
About
I
a
can't,
quarter.
I'd have to look back and see. We opened in February. And we did not start taking Polk County until June, maybe July, somewhere in there, before they called us, so. They said there's no end in sight.
So how many of these are Calhoun?
I didn't count the Polk and Calhoun, I didn't divide those up
But the biggest one's full.
by far. So for the quarter, we took in a total of $123,760.82. And then after paying the state their share of the weapons permits, we ended up with a total of $120,551.32 in total revenue for the quarter.
What account does that go into?
Comes back into the general fund,
Go straight into the general?
I believe, right, Courtney? Goes to the treasurer.
Correct.
Courtney, did we stop getting, didn't we used to get dinged whether we didn't have enough personnel watching the money over there? Did we solve that?
Yeah, we get dinged for segregation of duties. They don't anymore now that Melissa and Shauna are both in the
Okay.
office. But when it was just Shauna, we would get
We were
dinged on
having-
that, but
okay.
we don't
Yeah,
know,
that was a
We've got that solved though.
highlight every year that they wanted.
Very good.
which is good. I mean,
Yep,
that's just another reason to have that extra person. in
Yep,
there.
yep.
Especially now, when you guys are so busy.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Any other questions for me?
Food service, are you gonna renew another year contract?
It's still up for discussion.
Anybody else poking around at it?
No,
Or no?
this weekend, I'd say we have a full-time cook for Consolidated and somebody that I'd call part-time. The part-time person called in sick or couldn't find daycare Saturday and Sunday. So that means our older cook had to come in and work Saturday and Sunday all day long. out of the blue to do the meals, so not real happy about that. So, I don't know, we're kicking around some different ideas of us taking it over.
When does that expire? The current-
January.
Okay.
Are they having staffing issues as well? Because wasn't that wasn't that one of their promises?
That was,
Come with
that was
us?
why we wanted them, was we didn't have,
We'd always
they
have
were gonna
staff.
unload their own trucks, right? They still.
Yeah, and they
right?
do
Yeah.
that, but
And they do the
it's
food ordering
just staffing. And it's, granted, it's not our staff, but
Right. indirectly it is.
Ken, are you
we're
required,
the ones that end up dealing with it a little bit.
are you required to have a dietitian approve those meals?
Yeah, dietitian has to approve the menu.
So you're gonna be out a dietitian contract one way or another, even if you take it on yourself. You're gonna need a dietitian, put that stamp of approval on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be somebody from the hospital.
Yeah, that you very well could. It's just, that's another hoop to jump through.
There's some different ideas we're kicking around.
Okay.
But it started off really good and it's kind of dwindled a little bit here.
But they're able to keep up with your level.
Mhm.
They are.
Have you had conversations with them?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have another one today, so. And I think it just comes down to, they can't find help either. So, just the way it is all over. So anybody in here with culinary skills that wants to come in on a Saturday or Sunday, have at it.
Put the milk on the cereal for them. That's about,
That they
all-
can do themselves.
that's about all I can handle.
Any other questions for me? Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ken. Thanks, Ken.
We need a motion to accept.
Or approve it, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve quarterly report to the sheriff.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 2 is to discuss, consider resolution 2022-016 supporting Operation Greenlight for veterans. Courtney, do you want me to read this off? So it's,
That's fine with me. Yeah, this was just something that ISAC presented, and I think Tonya would like to have the board do the resolution because many counties are.
okay. So I'll go ahead and read it just so that it's on public forum as well. Whereas the residents of Carroll County have great respect, admiration, and utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in armed forces. And whereas the contributions, sacrifices of the men and women who served it in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Carroll County seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, veterans of foreign wars, religious groups, civil services, and by functioning as county veteran services officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than 52 billion in federal health, disability, compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 through 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life. And whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk of suicide during this first year after military service. And whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for veterans. And whereas the Carroll County appreciates the sacrifice of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted through, therefore, be it resolved with designation as Greenlight for Veterans County, Carroll County hereby declares from October through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2022, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform, transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved that is observance of Operation Greenlight, Carroll County encourages its citizens and patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence. Therefore, be it resolved that Carroll County approves the dissolution of,
Oh, oops.
that's wrong,
Yeah,
approves of the Carroll County Communications
yeah, that's,
Commission's effective 11/59 on
that is deconstructed.
strike. Passed and approved on this 31st day of October, 2022.
Yeah, I took this bottom section for signatures. I copied
right.
and pasted that
Pasted.
from another resolution and I
Yeah,
didn't
undo
see
it.
that. So something else.
Brought in that.
So
date.
what I will do is where it says therefore it be resolved that Carroll County approves the resolution
Okay.
supporting Operation Greenlight Productions.
So with the support of the board, I'd like to see the county move forward with this.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'd second.
There's been a motion and a second. Roll call.
Houseman,
Yes.
Ruggles.
Yes.
Shetler,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Miners,
Yes.
motion carries. Steph, I'll have you sign the one after I make the correction.
As I'm reading it dissolved. No, no, no.
Wait a minute. And we do have, apparently Zach has some green cellophane. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but he'll put it on the floodlights out front.
Oh,
So
perfect.
when it shines on the building, they'll look green.
Oh.
I think we've done that in the past. He said he had to round it up.
And this is until November 11th, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. All right, item number 3, discuss, consider funding request from ISAC for soil compaction evaluation. Did everybody receive that email from ISAC? And this is in reference to the pipeline and at our last ISAC conference, that was kind of the biggest talk down there, was discussing and how to protect your county and the residents.
For
And
the
this is-
CO2 pipelines and for the winter ones also.
or any pipeline in the future.
Anything buried, any underground buried utilities.
And at that time, they were trying to get it that they wanted to interject in at the utilities board, which was going to be a very high price. It could have been unending legal things. And actually, I don't know if you follow up on that. They actually, since executive and supervisors had approved it, and then they found out that it was going to be so much more expensive than what they thought. They met again and they rescinded it. So that's where they came up with this idea, which makes more sense.
$600 per county.
Instead of having. all those
Absolutely.
fees and
Yeah.
legal
I think
expenses.
it's-
'Cause
Compared to what we listen to.
There's 3 people on that board, correct?
Yep.
Utility
Utilities
board.
boards, 3
Yeah.
appointed people.
Right.
What are they
Some
gonna
of
do with the excess money? Are they asking for 600 just because?
This is the figures what it's going to cost to run this study.
Because that's $59,400 if every county participates, and they're saying it's only gonna be 51. I don't know if they are just doing that because they think some counties might not participate.
Well, all 99 are not going to participate. Would be my guess.
I think regardless whether we don't have that pipeline or not, we're
Yeah.
going to vent.
Yeah,
And this is
No,
one of
after-
the cases, I think we're the more of a stick together, the more we're gonna get done. And
What's the advantage of doing it?
the advantages.
Yeah.
Well, the problem they have right now, when they were talking down is they're going out and working these fields when even when it's wet. And they're putting these big trenches in there, and then this study is to say, use, or,
The only ones you're really protecting though are the ones for eminent domain.
no, you'd be protecting.
Well, if you're voluntarily or selling your land or leasing your land to a company, that's between you and that company.
Well, I think they were.
Why
saying-
would you want a government agency in the middle of that? That's my only question. Now, if it's eminent domain, I can see the government wanting maybe to participate.
I think it's the easements that they're crushing the soil on.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have a right of way that's 80 foot, but they may end up getting an easement 100 foot on each side of that. And it's taken 8 to 10 years for the crop yields to come back, is the presentation we saw.
Yeah.
I mean, it
So
was,
essentially, they're trying to stop it by doing this.
it's looking out for the farmer.
Not,
me,
not
as far
stop
as-
it, but to say that there's certain conditions when you
But
go out
you're
to
gonna
work.
make it so difficult to do it. You're essentially stopping.
No,
No,
just,
yeah, you really are.
okay.
I mean, and in my opinion, you are, because you have to jump through 5 hoops instead of 1. So, and then some company's gonna look at it and said, no, it's getting too expensive. I'm not gonna do it. So, I mean, I just don't want government stepping
I get it,
into
yeah, I guess.
private business nor private contracts between a landowner and another company. I just feel that's getting to reaching out there a little too far.
But I think what they're after here is that there's no protection for them to say, there's certain conditions you stay on that field, that they were ruining.
This is our crop yield for the
I
last
understand what they're
10 years. And,
impacting.
but it's just, I think it's not on the landowner's property, it's on the easement that they are granted
That-
during the construction
Mhm.
process. It's to return it to normal, the way it was before the pipeline went through, not on what the utilities company
Wait.
owns, on adjacent land.
You can't return to normal.
They said it was an 8 to 10 year.
They were saying 3 to 6 and
The
that,
utilities
the
companies will
presenter said
tell
8
you
to
that,
10.
yeah, that
But
it's less.
It's
but
gonna
more.
bring rocks to the top
Yeah.
that haven't been there for years and probably never would.
Yeah, this is preventative. I get your thing on the
Yeah,
$600, but I
yeah.
think if we enact it now, if we pass this, then we're protected for anything that could come in the future.
It's just like the wind turbines. I also know that they're out there right now that there's a lot of contracts being done, and the base of those wind turbines, when they're done with them, they come in and they're required to take off 6 feet. Well, that's still causing crop issues for years, forever, because no one can go down there and dig that out, afford to dig that out. So, I mean, but the landowner knows that going into it,
Exactly.
that, and that's what I'm saying, this is, you agreed to let a pipeline come across your land, they compensate you for it. You stepped in there. That's between you and them. That's why I say the government does not belong in there in any way.
This is more or less for the study, do the study of the, where the requirements, what it should be at. This doesn't dictate it, it's for the study. Pay for the study, as this guy's going down the names.
And then after the study,
Yeah,
You make
then
the
they'll
decision.
make the determination then, I guess. Of how much damage you're actually doing.
but I think this is better than the way they were talking about going through that utilities board, because that would be an unending legal battle, unending.
Well, the pipeline that came through here, we avoided it, Calhoun County. Got a big chunk of it. And boy, they took a lot of ground. I think it was like 300 feet wide
Go on.
and 7 to 8 feet deep. at
The one
times.
up at Lake City, that's just a repair of a natural gas line, and that is 200 or 300 feet by 7 miles.
But I mean, they were showing like pictures of these big tracks and fields. that
Yeah,
You can't recreate
it's-
that.
It's the land adjacent to to get the equipment in to make the repairs or for the initial construction.
And I think this study is to show when is the most when is the best time to go in and do that work? Obviously, right after rain.
There was
That's
something to
smart.
do with the water.
Because there was a graph
moisture.
that said you have to hit between, and I don't know the specifics on dirt, what that's called.
You guys were.
Not wet.
Were they limiting to this to pipelines only?
Any
No, they-
underground utilities. It was pipeline and wind turbine and
So here's the danger, and again, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. You have a large underground electric line break in the middle of winter, or in that transition between fall and winter and spring. That equipment going in there and getting that is going to compact that soil. It's going to compact. Now, do you want to go without electricity until that ground becomes
I think it's
nice?
saying
Is
just
that what you're saying?
return it to normal is what it's saying.
Like I said, you can't hardly return it to
Well,
normal.
I don't think,
Once
yeah,
you
I don't think
compact
they're
it.
going to go to normal, but get as close to normal as they can. I mean, they're trying to avoid it.
More than a good faith effort.
Yeah, just that,
Yeah.
that they've had some bad.
I'm just playing
experiences.
devil's advocates on this because I
Those
know
are
where,
good
I know where
questions.
they're headed next.
Because I think what they've had some bad actors as far as contractors, just go in and just tear shit up and don't care.
Tell you where they're headed next. They're headed to the county right of ways. Because they'll get out of the private domain. And they'll deal with just the county.
Well, it's just a study. And
I know.
And, you know, I mean, it may determine in favor of the contractors and the pipelines and the wind turbines. I mean, but it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it
You know.
very well could. It
Yeah.
could. I'll give you that. I just want to know more about it. I've been thinking about this weekend. I just know that sometimes there are circumstances that things have to get done. Whether you like it or not, it has to happen.
And I don't think they're disagreeing on emergency situations, but this is when they're more when they were constructing. I mean, you just had some bad, and like I said, this is to me a better way than going on trying to fight it legally to stop it, because there's no end to the legal expense then. I don't think there's any of us counties got enough money to fight that.
Well, and I don't know if you'd want to.
Yeah. And then this at least gives us
Yeah.
something to stand on. a little bit.
And remember too, this is just the study.
He's thinking this is just the beginning.
The door just open.
So if we say, okay, so you play devil, I'll play devil.
I know.
If we say no. Then what?
They do the study anyway in the county, won't they?
Mhm.
Because I bet you they'll do it. no matter
The study's gonna get done, I'm sure.
Go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna go against it. I have questions. So,
Should we not?
no, I think you should move forward with it. Take the vote because you said it is a study. Just remember. The door come open, so
I mean, we're not contractually, I mean,
Right.
even if we don't get in this study, it could benefit us.
it
I
could.
think it's
It could.
helping.
It could help solve some issues. It could
Yes.
create more issues. That's, I just want everybody to be aware of that.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully that, you know, everyone will have a better understanding,
Hopefully,
you know, of
yep, exactly
the
what
way
they're
the
talking
situation
about.
is, yeah.
I wish you would have been there and asked those questions after the meeting, because it drew a lot of interest. I mean,
The room was full.
it was full and nobody got up and left.
And I was not happy with the way they were going to go start out with it, because that would have been. What,
The lady from Polk
shit, they can't bring
No.
it back up.
story
Story.
was the one that started it.
Oh, yeah.
I will make a motion that we give the request for funding for the compaction evaluation. The ISAC,
The $600.
yep, $600.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Are you okay with possibly having to amend the supervisor budget to cover this, because the supervisor budget has no extra.
Is
like, for this kind
exhausted.
of stuff. So it may be just we need to move it from one place. to another, but We'll see where we're at.
But also keep in mind too, we have that fall training. Not fall, winter training for
Yeah.
newly elected too.
I registered for it,
I did too. So,
but I think that's every other year, don't they do it?
Yeah.
And they didn't have it
One
the
year
entire-
is the new officer school, and the next year is the university.
Yeah, it's like if I wanted to go now, it wouldn't benefit me at all, because they're focusing on supervisors, treasurers, reporters. And then when I'm up the next time around, it'll be supervisors again, but it'll be.
But they do cover up through all facets, so they understand each one. Especially new supervisors have an understanding.
all right. Item number 4, review committee appointment list. So everybody, I think, received, you sent this out to everybody.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing this up now is to give us a little bit more time if we need to find anybody that would want to sit on these boards. I'm not talking about our committee boards itself. I'm talking more of the appointed people for Board of Health, ambulance. And there's some of these, Courtney, we don't do anything with, correct?
Probably.
But there's quite a few. I went and
I
highlighted.
tried to make a list, like an appointment list. It's just the board of supervisors, not other things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back just a minute. ISAC wants us to contact them if we are going to do it. Do you want me to email them and say that you guys approve it?
That'd be great. Thank
We
you.
need a notification of some kind that Carroll County signed.
By tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, so,
15th, but that's
and I'm not saying all these need to be decided today, but if somebody has contact with these people or has a relationship, obviously that should be the point of contact, I would think. Rich has sent
Yeah, I
in
may-
one already for,
I may give you the wrong name, wrong board, but
no, it was the right name. of the
Was it?
board. Yep,
yeah,
so the library board.
he had reached out to me when they talked to him.
But there is quite a few. I mean, I
These should
highlighted.
be all yours. On this sheet.
Okay.
With the exception, if you go down to the civil service, there's 3 people. 2 of them are board appointments, one's a county attorney appointment. Otherwise, they're all.
okay, on the Veterans Affairs, that 6/30/22, did we do that in June? We reappointed them,
Mhm.
but we really don't have anything to do there.
For Jim.
Because that was due in June. Did we reappoint in June?
I have to look. I'm not sure.
Because I'm sure he will take it.
I don't recall
I'll
doing it.
put a question mark there.
Once you let me know, I can talk to him, but I'm sure he will.
I know, I hate that one's in June because we do these, all the other ones are at the end of the year.
So it looks like the Board of Health.
Has anybody had anybody say anything that they don't want to be on any more boards?
Norm Shetler does not want to be,
Yeah, I think I've got somebody for his spot.
that's the only one I've heard from.
For, no, for
Which one's that?
trustees?
He is a township clerk. Who will go with it.
Oh, yep, I see that.
He's one that we appoint.
Correct.
Was it the library?
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yep, there's only one person. Okay. So be I'm gonna put your name next to this one. I
Yeah.
can reach out to Randy. Should start at the beginning.
I got Randy on the board.
Okay.
When Richard Baumhover, I'll take him too.
Let's start on the front page. Let's go through Board of Health, Dr. Hine.
I'm pretty sure she'll take it again, but I'll contact her.
Then we go down to the ambulance board and I can do these. Conservation,
I can contact Tracy, I get his.
and then Veterans Affair. Do you want to check?
Yeah, we'll check on that one.
Medical examiners. Does anybody know either of these doctors? For sure.
I can reach out if you, okay.
Weed commissioner, we'll leave that one up to Jean.
Well, he's on the home, so regardless. He's a guy from Harvard dealer.
You get no choice.
Yeah. That's an automatic, same way at churches. Until we change that.
Yeah.
Really,
Zoning commissioners.
What's the balance you try to keep on that?
You gotta keep.
Yeah, what is the balance? Is that spelled out somewhere?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta try male, female, on all most of these boards.
Yep.
And these have been all done, like these. Unless somebody, most of these have been appointed on lately, I would not. If they haven't said them, I wouldn't just reappoint them.
You just reappoint. Yeah,
Do they need to acknowledge it?
Courtney, you send a letter to him, don't you? Or you don't? Okay.
They can let us know when they don't, we can always reappoint them.
well, and that's kind of like the trustees as well, you know, they,
Until they don't.
until they say, take me off. They're
Because I'm
on.
gonna tell you that last one, that condemnation one. You don't wanna screw it up, because you know, never end on that. I usually look on that one, make sure nobody's deceased on, it, and then I say good enough. Oh, we probably will have to do one. I think John Highland's moving out of the county, isn't
I have no
he?
idea.
John Highland? He's retired, right?
Oh, he's already retired.
But is he moving out of the country? I think he is.
I haven't heard.
Let me check on that.
Where are you even at?
Back
Oh,
at license.
very last page.
Oh, you
You're
don't get
jumping ahead. She wanted to
don't
start on
get-
page one.
systematically, you just.
You know,
Okay, well, I
page
just-
one's the one on top.
Well, I just said.
You're a fast reader.
I'm just
Okay, so
fast
we're not
reader.
messing with commissioners.
Giddy, giddy.
Board of Adjustment, you said leave that.
Oh, I've got
I
one.
you only got one, and I would. He hasn't showed any other interest, I would reappoint him.
Yeah, I was thinking about moving someplace else.
There was an article in the paper.
There's
so
that
he
one
said
as
one.
well. Okay,
Both
so
these kids are.
Board of Supervisor, we'll discuss those later. City of Carroll Planning and Zoning 2 mile limit, Ron Jurgens is up.
Did we skip Glenn?
Oh. Yep, Glidden, we got Jim Genter.
And John Brockle Street. On the PNC.
John will let you know if he's not gonna.
Yeah, John will let. I would assume Genter hasn't said anything. I would there again. Reappoint him. And same way, Ron's always taking it.
I'm
City
sure
of-
John Westland will be okay too.
Region 12, Council of Governments Housing Authority, we got Jim Knott.
We just did that one.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, so that should be,
That's done.
Yeah, that's gotta get up.
how long is that? Is that
It's an
annual?
annual
Okay.
one. Let's do the big list.
That one's good. The Ralph said he'd reappoint
You would do it.
Jason Christensen for that Western Arrow Tourism Board. And then we're into townships, which
He'll let us know if they don't want to be on it. Happens there.
So the only one on the township boards is probably is Norm Shetland.
That's the only one that notified us.
Yep, I'll get a hold of Norm.
And I think the Roselle's fine where they're at the last time I talked to them.
at least we got a good start on it and
So then, like I say, I'll recheck that. I'll recheck that John Highland. I don't know why I'm thinking that he was moving on.
and then these township officers. As is unless somebody says something.
Well, they're most of them are elected.
Okay.
So that list includes both appointed and elected.
Okay.
I printed that because I didn't realize that I had put the township ones that are appointed on the appointment list. So.
Okay.
Kind of a duplicate list. there.
Item number 5, courthouse HVAC interior remodel project. We have the bid, everybody received the bid. I assume we probably have some questions. I know I do. As far as, not so much the bid itself, the whole package, some of the alternates. I don't know, Courtney, do we have to approve everything today? Can we approve just the initial bid? And discuss the alternates,
I would assume so.
or do we have to make all those decisions today?
I think the only thing is if you don't approve the alternates as of today, those prices could possibly change. I thought they said that if you didn't do all of it to, if you said, for example, the jail demolition, if you said, we're gonna approve everything but that. If you down the road decided you wanted to do it, it might be more money. That's my understanding. These aren't gonna be good. These prices are on the alternates are not good for. I thought he said he was gonna dial in. I don't see him here.
Well, when I did comparisons, I mean, the base bid was underestimate, but It looks like all the alternates are a little higher than what our estimates were.
The roofing especially.
I mean, when we were talking about this curtain in the boardroom, were we thinking about using part of that for one of the transition stations for the office?
Not that I was aware of.
Okay, I think originally we were, I think.
I think those are gonna be in the newer part of the old jail. And then like over the corner. Where the old MUI and stuff, I think that's the transition space.
That curtain is quite a bit of money.
Well, the curtain's something you could do. down the
I think
road
there,
if you felt
was
like
there
you
something
needed
go with about putting, that's why I was kind of wanting John, was there something about the support on that?
There's gonna be a big bulkhead around it.
I think that there was some issues with support, or not?
Yeah, I talked to John about it while we emailed back and forth. But yeah, I think it's way overdone for what we were looking for.
But I think with the way it was in there, they had to put so much into the beam to hold it, right?
I don't know that. He just said that it was, I want to say way more industrial or burly than it needed to be, but it was, maybe over engineered was what I got from him.
So my thoughts on that. If we're gonna break down and talk about these alternates. The operable partition, I think. Is. Potentially no need, because we originally were going to segregate that room so we could have. A transitional space for offices to go down, but now. I mean, upon contingent, if you were to demo the jail space. You could have those offices all over there. I don't think the partition's worth it. I think that's a lot of money to make a room smaller.
The only two things I can see having at the same time was a board meeting in Courtney's office down there at the same time.
But won't we have the other space? Remember on those drawings, they were gonna do. Those are right drawings.
But that's a few hours on Monday, so it's not a.
Weren't they gonna use that as one of the transitional spaces, and as well, this is the jail, if we demo the jail. That could be more temporary space.
Yeah, but I thought this was probably a possible office for Veterans Affairs or something like that. I guess I thought Courtney was gonna go in this area. And they were gonna continue to use the boardroom as it is right now. And shut this room down and Courtney's room down. And then wall that off and start to remodel down here and then move the treasurer down here and then wall that off.
I think they're gonna do that down there first. So they could transition in that, I think.
They were gonna do downstairs first, because it's gonna basically be empty.
Do the board space,
Mhm.
the transitional room, and I guess if we do the jail demo, that all gets done, and then that gives the opportunity for any offices that have to go. To that level, right? That's what I understood, which would be phase 2, and then they start working up here.
Yeah, that's kind of how I thought, and I guess you're right, at the time, I don't think we had given any consideration to the jail space.
But if we demo that
Other than asbestos removal, that's the only thing I didn't think.
for 82 or whatever, the alternate,
Then that's when we found out there was lead in the bars too, so.
The only thing I can think of is it might be nice to demo the jail when you're doing this project, because then it's done. And that's.
Well, I think for that kind of money, I think we just will demo it.
So when you're talking about demo, does that 49,000 or 82,500, does that include?
Straight
We,
finished works.
yeah, is it gonna be finished
I
then
think
when
that's
it's,
just the gut job.
Just a gut.
that's just a
Yeah.
gut job,
So
so
So you're not gonna
then,
be able to utilize it too much for,
well, not unless you do some work on it.
yeah.
And is that included in any of this?
I don't know.
I think that just removes everything.
Yeah, we never saw drawing plans of what it could be. We can all imagine, but those make my favorite.
Trying to find importance.
Courtney, do you know the exact number of what money's left in that recovery fund?
I can go look right now.
Cause I know we've dug into it a little
Oh,
bit.
we have.
All I have is July's and sitting in front of me.
I'll be right back.
That's only half of it.
Oh, I think it's. I think I may have it.
I know. I printed
Well, we're
it
gonna
out
have
somewhere.
to dig into it.
No, not if you don't do some of the alternates, you might not.
Huh?
If you don't do some of the alternates, you might not. I think it looked to me like you're about almost 400,000 over the last time I knew. I think for some reason that number,
Yeah, regardless.
if you drop the roof and you drop the demo and the partition,
Here's
you
a
would usually
September.
ahead.
I have it here. I'm sure.
The recovery dollars would cover everything. It's like. So the recovery dollars would cover.
We got,
Would
Every-
cover
everything,
everything then
if you
at
took
that
those
point.
items.
Oh,
If
the
you took
recoveries
those
were
items.
3.5.
Yeah.
So we're gonna cover. We're not gonna cover all of the period on the base bid.
Yeah, you will. 3.5, if you drop the roof. And you-
alternate.
Yeah, but he's
What
saying.
was the roof?
3.984.
But that 3 point, the base bid without the roof is 3.9.
3.9.
I thought that was with
3.984.
alternates added.
No. No.
No, it's
No.
3.9 without any of the alternates.
3984.
And then there's 4 alternates.
Regardless, we
I
gotta
thought that
go.
was added in. already.
3 point,
No,
I got it here, Courtney.
3.565 9,696.
That's as of today.
You're 400,000 short and looking at putting another. What's that total to, all the alternates? Another,
400, 450, 500. 505.
and put another $1 million on top of this money.
The roof's definitely gonna have to wait.
Does anybody have knowledge of when that roof was touched last?
1960.
Oh, it's original.
I don't know.
But
I
the
don't-
life expectancy, I think we have a few more years. on it.
I,
The reason it was
recall that
brought up
being
was
talked
if they're
about
gonna be up
someplace?
there removing units,
and
should it be done at the same time?
that, and I wanted to know, is there, I wish John was on here, because I can't know how many, was a lot of penetrations gonna happen to that roof? I don't
Mhm.
believe so.
I'll take your.
Just removal, right?
well, when you put all the heating and cooling up there, that's gonna disturb some of that roof.
Right.
And I think that's when the discussion came up as far as replacing the roof and we're tearing it up.
Well, and I think number 4, that has to be done, doesn't it? That cable at 5,000.
And Dalton said
That
was a
one
no-brainer.
probably
Yeah, he
needs to
said
be
that
done.
was
That
definitely
is
good.
about have to be done.
I think basically while we're up there doing it, that roof ain't gonna get any cheaper.
Yeah, if you can use that determination on a lot of stuff, there's nothing on here is gonna get cheaper if you put it on.
I just checked, text John to see if he's.
Yeah, he did say he'd buy a land, so I don't know if something came up.
We don't
Your
No,
capital
have to
project,
make a decision today. We can,
your capital project fund has about 31,000 in, so that you could conceivably use that, but you're gonna have
That's
Courtney
not
to
gonna go
cut down
around.
to
And I
nothing.
think, I think we were
And
talking
I think
about,
that's a wrong thing, because there could be some type of maintenance pop up that could be kind of spendy that we
Something
have
could happen to the
to.
boiler. before
And
this
we
gets
may have to
implemented.
fix it before we
Yeah.
get done.
I think we were planning on using local option anyway, right?
That's about $1 million though. That's what you're gonna be over.
Now we're at 1.9 right now. on the local option. And you gotta remember, this project's gonna go on for probably about the first 2 years.
And there's gonna be overruns.
And there's gonna
there
be
is.
money coming in.
You can about figure about
There will not be any change orders. That's written in
Five.
the fine print.
right,
5 to 10%.
Rich, it's in the fine print.
Yeah.
No change order.
Yeah, right. Except for the air conditioning, that won't be big enough in one room.
For a budgeting standpoint, I'd love to see the jail get demoed and the roof done.
The,
Because then we've got a building that, you know, is pretty solid and we're not gonna have to do much work for the next, you know, 10 or 15 years.
60.
yeah, if I had my, well, like I said, number 4 is basically a done deal. I mean, I would like to see the roof and the jail demolition, the partition I could do without.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where everybody's leaning. Can we fortify that just in case? You know what I'm saying? If there's work that needs to be done. I mean, before, you know, the curtain costs so much, but it's probably the infrastructure. You know, so I mean, is it gonna take another beam across there for that? Can we put that in and let somebody else make that decision at some point in time at like $10,000, something like that? I guess that's my thought. I don't know if it's a good idea or not.
Are those good questions for John, or are those good questions for, since Bating's the only one that handed in bid work?
Well, it would be John, because they would have to do the drawings.
Okay.
They're gonna turn to John for information on structure.
I'm guessing a lot of that 50, I'm gonna call it $50,000 is structural. I bet the partition
Yeah.
itself, I was
Heavy.
I'm guessing you're probably right.
Well, and have you seen those partitions? They have them like out at Carrollton.
No, this is fancier than that. I
Well, I
haven't seen
know,
any
but
pictures,
You've
but
seen those where
Yeah,
they
kinda-
like,
Yep.
they look like fabric and they bring.
Well,
Yep.
then you have the one out at Swan Lake.
Yeah.
Between the rooms. You know, that's a big one.
It's like an accordion or is that fold? I can't remember.
Those are.
They're like
panels.
they're panels, they're
Yeah.
like 4-foot panels and then they fold.
They
in and-
bypass each other.
Yeah,
Are
they
they
fold,
mounted from the ceiling or do they come
Mhm.
out of?
they're mounted from the ceiling. So
Yeah,
I
they're not the
mean,
accordion.
I've seen it shut,
kind.
but then they.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have to look in a. Magic. Whatever, to figure, is that gonna be something that somebody's gonna want in 10 or 15 years? To have, be able to partition that space off.
well, you know, the other thing too is if we thought we were gonna put that petition in during the construction, then you can put up a temporary wall like they did down below,
Oh, yeah,
you know?
It's a tracked one, wasn't it?
See, and I thought
He sent me
that
two
partition
different
was
pictures.
strictly for
No, it looks like it's one of those.
offices transitioning, but if we
sections.
have across the
full.
hallway, open space, finished space,
Those hinges. Do you?
Wouldn't
you
that
think?
Yep,
work?
yep.
Yeah,
those
I
are
guess
good.
my-
Just kind of
4-foot.
bifold them.
So there's another one
Or
that has doors in
that's
it.
transition.
and even Courtney, for like you. You could probably go into the boardroom sometimes too.
Yeah, I stay at that, it keeps me up at night because I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all my stuff?
She's gonna have an election cycle or two down there.
I don't know, and I think Zach's kind of in the same boat I'm in, it's just gonna be. I'm not gonna-
It's not gonna be fun.
no. So when my election's over here in a couple weeks, that is my main plan, is I'm gonna start going through stuff and deciding where to put it, and hopefully be able to get rid of some things and.
The chaos on that floor is gonna last probably a couple of years.
You won't, I don't think you'll see a lot of disruption on the treasurer side, which is good because that's where a majority of customers come, is there? Is if I have to move and they do this space for her and they have it ready to go, then you might have a day or two downtime. For them to move into the new space, but it shouldn't disrupt them too much, I would think.
Right.
I hope.
But whatever's downstairs is gonna be kind of limbo. First getting tore up, then. you
So
get
Courtney
and then The transition
and
office is
The
coming down.
assessor.
John is available remotely as well, guys. If you need to ask him some questions, he just emailed me.
Is he gonna dial in or?
Yeah, I can invite him right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll get him in.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think everybody can agree. The transition phase is not gonna be fun.
This whole thing is gonna be fun.
Mm-mm. But I don't think it's gonna be a 2-year project. I sure hope not.
It's been 18 months. I'm.
Well, we have to have it finished by,
December of 24, I think.
Mhm.
And I bet they don't get started for 6 months, the way it sounds like supply chain with the part issues are.
For the demo of the jail, that stuff can start right away, which helps.
But that won't
Demolition down
interfere
there.
with flow traffic. or-
Have we decided anything on that asbestos yet?
We've only got the one bid, we're still waiting on. I mean, I mean, I'm sure you guys would rather have two,
Yeah, but
but if you only get one,
you can only get one.
I mean, it's not like it's
We only
an
got one
astounding number. I mean,
confirmed
it's still pretty big, but.
yeah, I mean.
How much was that?
bid, Unfortunately,
uh,
but
And if you read it,
Is it
bet it
80 or
you're still gonna
50?
only get one.
there's
You know.
nobody can bid against it. You just can't. It's your travel expenses.
How much was it for?
I had it in my head, it's just a 60,000.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, John.
Morning,
John.
Morning. I have to apologize. I got another call in at 10, but I did log in on Facebook real quick and saw that you were chatting about the project. So I wanted to be available if you had any questions for me.
I think our big question is on that operable partition. Is a lot of that cost due to structure put in there?
Yeah, a couple different things there. So structure is a piece of it. What they intend to do is span with pieces of angle iron really between the concrete joists. So there's not a lot of steel there, but I would say that there's probably quite a bit of labor to get that put up in there. So that there's the bracing for it overhead, but then there's also a large bulkhead made out of studs and gypsum board that you wouldn't have otherwise to kind of conceal the track for that. And then there's also a closet, like a little storage closet to build out to tuck the doors into if that were ever opened up. So I'd say the just kind of, percentage wise, I'd say the partition itself is maybe 30 to 35,000, and the other 15 is maybe the supports and the drywall, things of that nature. So, maybe a 65-35 kind of split there. So it's a number looks big, but it's just a lot. If you weren't to do the partition, you wouldn't have a lot of drywall work and some of that supporting steel.
So my question to you, John, is if we did the jail demo, because originally, didn't we do that partition because we wanted more transitional space for employees to go?
Yes, yeah. Mhm.
But if we
Well,
did
not temporarily though. I think we wanted to have obviously the large meeting room for large meetings, but if you ever wanted to have a smaller conference in the courthouse for any other reason, you could divide off a smaller, meeting room for maybe a smaller meeting and close off the larger kind of boardroom, if that makes sense. So I thought that there was a few groups within the courthouse that would maybe have a meeting with, 10, 15 people in it. So you could partition that room off and have a smaller, gathering.
Well,
Kind of like the meeting room we have down there now. Is that what you're saying?
Similar to that. Where the old jail.
and then the demo work for the jail, is that just the demo work that has no finishings, right?
Correct. Yeah. So one thought there is instead of having two, well, it's just kind of up for further discussion, I suppose. But if you were to demo the jail and then get all the partitions, all of that out of there, you'd have a larger space for a temporary area during construction. So right now we're looking at demoing out the old OWI area, the old evidence storage, and putting a temp space in there. And then we're also looking at demoing out sort of I call it a day room, even though it's really not. It's a larger, cell area, sort of west of the jail. We're demoing those two portions and making that temp space for, during construction. But I think we could still put on the table and discuss it further, the value in demoing out the jail rather than the other two spaces and making that a temp space. So food for thought. I think today you're probably talking about whether or not to approve the contract for construction on the base bid. I think you'd still have a little bit of time to sort of weigh your thoughts on the alternates that you want to receive. And I think you'd want to talk to Baiting, but sometimes they leave that open for about 45 to 60 days for you to make a decision on that. So you approve the base bid, and then you approve later on whether or not you want to approve the alternates. And sometimes you could even wait a little longer. You just have to reprice them. But if you wanted to approve some alternates earlier than later, I think you could do that as well.
It says we got 30 days right now, but what's the life expectancy on the roof as is?
Well, right now, I think my honest opinion is it could really, and I've been on a lot of roads, it could stand to be replaced, and it's only going to get worse when you have a lot of foot traffic on it. And we know that, the project calls for new components to be installed on the roof. So the point there is it's in rough shape, and it would only get worse with people walking around on it. And it is a ballasted system, so there's a lot of rock all over it. You don't really know where anything would be damaged without removing a lot of rock. And I've seen that happen before where, something was put on the roof, all the rock gets pushed, maybe over into a couple piles. And then they'll put something down to temporarily hold the roof down while they're working on it. And that kind of helps them isolate that area. But regardless, where you're having the equipment mounted on the roof, Baiting would have to come in and repair that particular area. And they know that, Tony knows that. And I think he has dollars in his base bid to do that, but that would only be the section, let's say, south of where the penthouse is, basically. That would be kind of, thinking out loud. I think south of the penthouse would probably, a good chunk of that would probably have to be either replaced or, a lot of heavy repair on that in order to cut in the equipment curbs and things of that nature. So I think the roofing is a large number. I think it's very important. I think it's a very important piece of the overall project too, though.
Why did we make that be an alternate instead of not making that be part of the whole package bid?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. I know we did talk about that specifically, and we thought, well, maybe if it's throwing it out there, maybe if it's a smaller number, maybe that becomes part of the building maintenance. So it's a 2-year project. So if any maintenance dollars comes up for the county for the courthouse, maybe some of those maintenance dollars could be directed towards the roof, since it's could consider it a general maintenance item. But I think this particular project pushes that up to the forefront.
How many holes are you putting through the roof for the new equipment?
Well, there's going to be quite a few. Well, there's going to be one large one for the main. I'll just call it an air handling unit for now, but there's going to be one large one where they put a new curb in. And then there's going to be multiple penetrations where they put the other, I'll call them condensing units, even though they might not be that. They're good. Those will be on pedestals. So either those would go on top of the existing roof, or they would go down through the roof and rest on the concrete. So big picture, I would say wherever you have mechanical units on the roof, you'd want to take that portion of it. And if you could, just replace that part of it. And then that would defer the rest of the roof until later to have the rest.
Okay, so, and I know you got 1 minute, but overall, the bid is come back pleasantly. I'm just surprised and happy. But the alternates, where did we go wrong?
I don't know that we went wrong necessarily.
Not necessarily wrong, but is there something Baiting's thinking about doing that maybe we didn't think of? Because just the roof itself there's a big difference.
Yeah, that is a big number. I didn't expect it to come in that high for the roof.
But it's just material cost.
I think there might be pieces of it that we might want to talk to Baiting about. I know that what I had in there is to replace all the perimeter flashing around the whole perimeter. And with that comes lists and things of that nature where you don't necessarily see where some of those costs are coming from, but they are real costs. So it's interesting to split that one out and look at it in particular. And maybe it gives us an opportunity to see where that cost could come down. But I think on the flip side, I've done, like I said, I've done quite a few roofs, and some of that cost could be what it would take to get the old roof off in the first place. So there might be 2 layers up there that they're dealing with, and it's just, end of the day, it's just a super time consuming process. And with that time consuming portion of it, the labor cost just goes way up. So there's probably a couple things working against you on that one in particular.
So you think we could have a discussion with Tony on some of that, you think, in that roof?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. See where, and that would be where I would expect we go next, is we tie down the contract, the bid, get that sorted out, and 9 times out of 10, I'll go back and have conversations with the contractor to see where there might be some potential cost savings for the county, maybe different ways to look at things. When it's a bid build like this, you put it out to bid, you have to decide what you're going to do up front before you move forward. There's different delivery methods like design build, where maybe you talk about these things a little bit more before it goes, to construction. But I think right now the position we're in, I think we're good. I think we're pretty good on the base bid. I think we're really, like you said, we're really pleasantly surprised with that. If there's some other areas you want to look at doing, jail, for instance, rather than the other 2 temp spaces, talk about the roofing, how can we get that cost to maybe come down? Yeah, I think definitely we'd go back to Tony and talk to him about that.
Okay.
Well, I think, as far as I'm concerned, I would rather stick the $50,000 into redoing the,
Roof.
updating the jail space and have a usable space then, because I mean, if we demo it, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
do that?
Otherwise,
Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to jump.
John.
Yeah,
we'll figure out.
I think too, if you wanted to grab a hour with me after this, we could certainly do that too. I'd be open to that this week.
I won't be today.
No, understood. Later this week, if you wanted to chat more about it, I think we certainly can do that.
Either that, or could we do it next week at a board meeting?
If we're having
No,
some-
we're not having
Whatever
one.
works. Yeah.
It'll be the week after that
Or not? Oh,
because of election day.
oh,
So it'd be on the 14th, which this
okay.
bid was taken on the 24th. We got 30 days after it.
All right,
We would still
we'll
keep
we'll
the-
set something up, John.
Okay, that sounds good. Let me know.
Um,
All right. Thanks so much.
Unless we have a meeting and Courtney can. Not be
Okay.
here.
I mean, we need to meet next week. We can. It's no big deal.
I think that I would.
Well, we got-
have a
we got-
discussion
we
with
got
Tony
12 days.
Mason too.
We've got till next. We got time. Maybe what we need to do is just approve the base bid. What we should do is maybe have John talk to Tony in between that, and if we meet the following week, have all of us together.
If you approve the base bid today, that does give those contractors
Start to,
a week's head start on ordering stuff, which can make a hell of a difference.
I don't have a problem with the base bid. I'm very pleased with the base
But if we
bid.
just approve the base bid, then are we gonna be locked out? Is that pricing still gonna be guaranteed?
That's the question.
Yeah, that's why I wish Tony, I sent him a text message.
I don't want to have to revisit that. That could be a 10% swing. Variation.
John, you're still on yet?
No.
I am. Yeah, I'll be on for another 30 seconds or so, I think.
But you say we got 30 days then to, on the base, alternates?
I'll have to look in the contract. I think the bid form.
Oh, he
has-
said it's
has
here,
a date
30
on it.
days.
Yeah, 30. So 30, yeah. And in fairness, with the way things fluctuate these days, that's fair. But yeah, I think if you had 30 days, I think, if you approved, I think I don't know if it's from the bid date, but I think it is.
The bid
So,
opening date.
yeah. So we're on the clock, effectively, as of that date. So
So
yeah,
we
I
got,
think we want to start having conversations sooner than later.
okay.
Well, and honestly, if we need some more time, which it kind of sounds like we have quite a few questions, we can line up a meeting, have Tony come in, answer these questions. You know, is there something we can do differently to lower the price of the roof? Is there something we can do? I mean, we gotta talk about finishings for the jail if we do the jail. I don't understand. Can we approve the bid?
Base bid, yes, we can prove, we got 30 days then to accept the alternates, according to that there. I would suggest that's what we do. I think get this base bid approved so the contractors can start getting stuff lined up.
All there is in the other alternates are electronics for Dalton. Those are probably fairly readable. Demolition, which is just finding somebody to do it. Partition either in or out. I have a feeling the board kind of maybe thinks that might be out, so that's the big. And then that leaves the roof. That roof would be building material, be the rock. No big deal. Shouldn't be.
Then funding
The membrane. I don't see any parts that's gonna, so yeah, I think you're right. I do the base. Those alternates, I don't think the time frame's gonna, extra week or two is gonna make a big difference in ordering
Well,
and stuff.
According to this, we got 30 days.
Yeah, I know.
Is this your? oh,
Yeah,
my
you've
God.
got the same copy
I
right
just-
there, but then you got
If
15
I
days
knew I had the
after that.
contract on, I could order it today and maybe save myself some money.
Yeah.
As a
And, but the
contractor.
roof is not gonna be, if we decide to do the roof, I mean, that's probably gonna be a year and a half down
At
the
the
road.
tail
or
end
something.
of it.
Yeah, it's
Well,
gonna be
that's
a
what I'm
tail
getting
end
at. If we're
anyway.
gonna use local option. I mean, we got 1.9 in there. There's always gonna be money coming in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
You can
our
always,
other choices, if we want to do a small bond, and I just would not do that.
no, you can always capital expense it. You can always capital expense it at budget to season. You got 2 budget cycles to go through between here and there. So you can piece it out and do a
Yeah,
little bit.
So
each time.
we've got time to do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some options.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I agree with that, yeah. Funding between the funding sources we got between the local option and capital budget seasons.
Yeah. Just don't want to strap future boards into too much, you know. That's-
But I mean, this is one of those cases where I think we need to do what we want to do and do. I think the real probably, if they're gonna do that many penetrations.
I
To me,
know.
that should have been part of the original
What-
bid. I don't,
Yeah,
Dean and I
we
were just
talked about
discussing
that.
that.
yeah, I don't remember them asking
Yeah.
to separate that out.
You guys told them to.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
then
that's
that's
what
why.
I thought.
All right.
Yeah, because I guess I didn't think they were gonna make, when he said multiple penetrations, that's just
Yeah.
opening it up for all kinds
I
of
would-
leaks.
We did it.
Because that was an
to try to
option
keep
that-
the bid down.
Yeah, that was an option that could have been done down the road.
And we still, we're talking about right now, whether
Yeah.
we're gonna do it or not, so
Yeah.
it's an option. But I think for that kind of, if we can get something worked out with Dawn.
Okay.
So I will make a motion that we approve the base bid,
Of,
the base bid of, yeah, $3,984,500.
And then the alternates will be decided at a later date.
Yeah, and I think, hopefully. So, I don't know if John caught it, but I'd like to have John start talking to Tony now, and
I'm sure they will.
maybe someone should just call him, make sure he does. do it. Then just call him, have him start now, and let's try to line up then. If we don't have a meeting next week, the following meeting that we have Tony, and
No problem.
see if that between now and then John and them can come up with some.
So there's been a motion. Was there a second? I didn't hear.
I'll second it.
I thought there was.
Mhm.
Right.
There we go.
So, I think it's a good bid.
All right, so there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 6 is manure management annual updates. We have a McNeese Research Center, Section 35, Sheraton Township, original plans. RVM Finisher, Section 25, Washington Township, original plan. And Wayne Reesburg, Section 21, Roselle Township, crop rotation or optimum yields. So we are to committee reports. Gene, do you want to go first?
Yes,
so you can
I
get
do.
on?
I get my thing to come up here. Okay, last Thursday I had a new opportunities board meeting. We basically went through all the same stuff I reported to you the other day about Head Start, so I'm gonna leave, not go through that with you. We did reapprove the retention incentive policy revised, that we did make it fit with what the federal government required on that. And then we did approve the community service block grant year-end report, and then also approved the national performance indicators. We did approve a LIHEAP grant for this one was for $111,986. And also approved a amendment to the LIHEAP budget of $16,700. We did talk about employees. We have shortage of employees, having a hard time just like everybody else getting employed, and trying to find ways to get some of that done. This week I have to be out of new opportunities again here in a little bit. And then on Wednesday, I have to go to Des Moines for some challenge grants, and then I'll probably try to go to Mike Weaver Carroll. That's it for this week.
I can go next.
Go ahead.
Last week. Food clinic was the one thing I had down. This week, I'm gonna do radio and newspaper, and Wednesday night, I'm going to Denison for the derelict building, Region 12 meeting.
What did you say, Gene, on the challenge what?
I gotta go to Des Moines. Some challenge grants.
Challenge.
I can go next. You're done.
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Let's make that motion.
I had no official meetings last week, but I did take several calls on the roads. And I talked to Zach about it. Go several county roads, 170 up between Hawthorne and Ivy. It's just washboards. And there's, when talking to Zach about it, he says, well, there's not much we can do if we don't get any rain. And because you can hardly get those out. With
Unless
a
you
with
get
a
some
blade.
compaction back down, yeah.
Yep, otherwise it's just all loose material on those, and so yeah, it's a dilemma right now. But I know that some of the farmers don't like it, but
We're in an
think
awkward
they get it.
position.
that the dry weather's causing problems for everybody. But so, and this week I have nothing,
And I've had the same conversation with some farmers.
yeah.
I'll go next.
I did go look at Drain 90 last Thursday with that. At the work they're doing to clean it out.
We had to have an emergency meeting for Rolling Hills. Well, not a real emergency meeting, well, it kind of was. The 27th, it was via Zoom. We had to get the annual report ready for HHS. There's evidently some timing errors. We're supposed to be in by December 1st, but they want to get everything pushed up. I assume it's because of the new funding, the way they're funding it. So we had to have an emergency meeting, and so but we did get it accomplished via Zoom. I have nothing in front of me this week.
And I can go.
Let's see, you see.
I didn't have any formal meetings last week. I did meet with Lisa over in her department over just some other issues that weren't board on the agenda, and then I did have the newspaper radio, and I did attend Governor Reynolds' event. And then I also want to share with you guys, this is kind of exciting. So every week, Jamie Webker, the director for the Carroll County Ambulance Service, he sends us a weekly update and it's phenomenal. But these top 3 points I thought was really neat and I figured it would be really cool for you guys to hear this, but
There is.
Carroll County Ambulance was nominated and was awarded the 2022 Iowa EMS Association Career/Volunteer Service of the Year Award. Scott Stork was nominated and awarded the 2022 IEMSA Provider of the Year. And then Wendy Baker was elected to be inducted into the IEMSA Hall of Fame. So
Cool.
I thought those were kind of cool. Cool things, and then not so cool at the bottom, our Narcan usage in Carroll County is up because we are having a lot of ODs. So, but there was a grant awarded for Narcan to be sent to Carroll County, so just a heads up, and it's sad, but we have an opportunity with some of that opioid money coming in the future, and maybe we can do some preventative maintenance with the younger people of Carroll County. So that is all I have, and then I think that is it for this week. No official meetings this next week.
Courtney, on Rich and I's, you had a CADC.
You go through?
Yeah, it hit me just after I said,
I couldn't get in this goddamn calendar for some reason at the time. I think somebody else.
I'll check and see if there's anything online. Nada. Courtney, what do we, next week? Also, I want to make aware, we're gonna try and not have a meeting since it is election week and Courtney will be busy. If something emergency or really important needs to come on, we can meet. I think,
The courthouse is closed on Friday, maybe.
For Veterans Day, yeah. I already scheduled something on the 7th.
Oh.
I wasn't thinking. Public health wanted to come in and give an update to the board. So,
So we will be having a meeting,
Well,
Or
can
we-
you-
honestly, I am okay with having a meeting.
or do you want to just push them off a week?
I think they'd be fine waiting a week. I
Yeah,
mean,
they'd
there's
be
nothing
fine waiting a
pressing.
week,
Yeah,
but
I'll
the
let.
next week will probably be,
It'll be
canvas.
busy. Well, yeah, we're gonna canvass the election and-
We build.
and I wrote caucus down instead of canvas.
How's your week going?
Good.
Yeah, so it'll be a relatively long meeting on the 14th.
I'll get a hold of Megan and see if they can come on the 14th, but, so that's really all I have.
And there is no comments online, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
There's a motion in 2 seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, everybody.